Okay, we are live on YouTube.
All right, well, let's call this meeting Friday, October the 2nd, 2020 to order for the OpenJS Foundation board meeting. This is Todd Moore, and I'll hand it over to you, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome everybody. Up on the screen, we have the OpenJS Foundation board directory. This is the same as it was last time. And our agenda for today, we will go through and approve some meeting minutes. We'll have an update on the certification program. I'll have an update on what's been going on with the CPC, and then we will close with the marketing update. Does anybody have anything they would like to add to the agenda?
Looks good. Let's go, Brian.
Okay, great. So first off, I'm sorry. We normally have a meeting minutes approval slide. So the first item of business will be to approve the meeting minutes from the August 21st, 2020 public meeting of the Board of Directors. Would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you, Michael. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great, thank you, Todd. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Do we have any opposed? Any abstains? Okay, meeting minutes are adopted from the August 21st public session. Okay, let's begin with a certification update. Robin, would you like to take us through this?
Sure. Hey, everyone. Just a quick update on the node certifications. I think we had mentioned recently that they are now available in Chinese and that we have an app dev training course available. I know there's been interest in the services one, and that was coming, and you should see that coming in the month of October. We're just putting the finishing touches on that. So, and as you may expect with when you purchase those exams or those training sessions, we'll be having special offers to give you some discounts when you buy things as a bundle, for example. So be on the lookout for that. Also, if you're an OpenJS Foundation member, you also receive discounts on those trainings and certifications as well. And you can find that on our member page. As always, the folks who help bring you that great content from NodeSource and Nearform have been really open and available for comments and feedback. And we did a recent AMA with them, which you can find on YouTube. So those are my updates on that program. Any questions?
No, thanks.
Cool.
Next topic is the CPC update. Michael, would you like to take us through this?
Sure. So just a few updates. First of all, on the project-related front, since our last meeting, Fastify has graduated from incubation to growth, so that's great. And if you want anybody who's watching the live stream, you can go read a little bit more about that on the link that's in the slides there. In terms of what's going on in the CPC, the security reporting process proposal that we talked about has actually landed. I guess my cut and paste wasn't quite as good there. So that's landed, which is great to set sort of a baseline for the projects that are part of the foundation. As we mentioned last time, the community board of director elections were held. We had a really great list of candidates. You know, it's great to see that so many people were interested. I was elected into that position, so I'll be continuing for the next year. For the second seat, which is the CPC representative seat, we've staggered the elections, so the next election will be in around 6 months. And you know, I'm hoping we have that same good list of candidates and more who are willing to participate and volunteer for that. There's been work to start to look at the annual review process for projects. So I kind of like to think that we've gotten through our first year where we were setting the baseline processes and working through bringing to a couple of the two of the foundations together. Now we can see through the discussions that are happening that we've kind of moved on to looking at things outside of getting sort of established and refining that we have what we have based on, you know, the experience so far. One of those things is to look at the annual review process that we've defined. And in particular, the discussions have been around the growth stage. You know, that's one of the things that we have projects in the growth stage, and part of that was to have growth plans with help from the CPC and the foundation. You know, and we hadn't actually gotten most of those plans and so forth in place. So that's what we're working on, you know, pulling those things, working with the projects to get those plans in place, talking about whether that stage makes sense and so forth. There's also been a lot of great work on an individual supporter program. There's a proposal which has moved to stage 3, which is kind of the last stage before it's enacted. You know, and so we actually the phase 3 PR was opened today, and you know, we expect a board vote to if necessary to follow soon after that. So that should be something you should be seeing fairly soon. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is just we've talked about the collaboration spaces proposal. There's a board vote underway. And again, my hope is that, you know, that lands soon and we can sort of move on to next steps there. And I think that's what I wanted to say on the CP slide. I don't think there's, just move on to the next slide. Yep, that's all I wanted to bring up to people up to date on.
Thank you, Michael.
Board,
Appreciate
any
it.
questions? Okay, great. So let's move on to our next topic, which is the marketing update. Rachel, would you like to take us through this?
Sure thing.
All right.
So here we have our OpenJS blog metrics. We had a really great pipeline the past month or so. I did want to point out that we have launched a new case study video series called OpenJS in Action. So go check out that on our YouTube channel. We're starting off with some really interesting stories and use cases and case studies around, you know, of folks using OpenJS projects in their solutions. So we have Expedia Group and Esri up right now, and we'll have a couple of others, you know, coming your way soon. Over to page views, we're about steady with, you know, in previous months. So, you know, no big changes here. Any questions on content, blog, or otherwise for this slide?
Is there something more that we should be doing as a group together? Has this come up with the marketing community to understand how we can support and reinforce and engage more folks in our blogs?
Of course. So, I mean, any kind of retweets are always helpful. But also if there are interesting stories or things that, you know, your companies are already doing that we could help cross post, those are certainly opportunities that, you know, we're happy to discuss. So I would say, you know, short list of how to support would be first, tweet, retweet, post. Those things are always helpful. And then, you know, as we are doing our content planning, we would love, you know, recommendations or ideas around other content that we could be working on. Again, if you have cool user stories or case studies that we could feature, we are always happy to talk about those things and see how we can, you know, do that and work together to create content.
I assume this also applies to just plain old community members as well too. If they've got interesting stories they can bring in, you'd appreciate seeing those as well.
Absolutely, 100%. So if there's
any other questions on this one?
Oh yeah, sorry.
After you.
So again, these are website metrics from last month through this month. Pretty much at a steady state. Not too much has changed, as you can see from the numbers. And then over to our referring channels. Not too much has changed here either. These are just the list of how folks are landing on our website. So here, here's the list here. Again, no big changes month over month, kind of in a steady state at this point. Any questions? Okay, excellent. So onto social media. Again, it seems like this seems to be the marketing story of the month. Things are pretty steady state, up a teeny tiny bit on engagement on Twitter, but I mean, negligible, just 1%. I did not find any miscategorized or not miscategorized sentiment. A lot of what I found was miscategorized around some security releases that had gone out. And then also the Node.js TSC did a survey around unhandled rejections. And, just those words tend to be negative. And so that just got a lot of retweets. And so while the sentiment may have been neutral, it actually got categorized as negative. So went through and cleaned up some of that stuff. Any
What
questions?
was wrong with Nick O'Leary's post?
Let me see here.
I can't read anything into that, honestly.
Code wrangling, maybe. Yeah, it's so, sometimes it seems very arbitrary. I think sometimes it's very like, okay, I get it. This makes total sense as far as why this got miscategorized as negative. But potentially code wrangling could have been, misconstrued as negative. I'm happy to look into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd like to give Nick some guidance just for the future, because when I tell him this, he's going to be surprised.
Right, and it doesn't seem like when you read it, it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with there. And I think that's a reason why I chose that one specific. Like a lot of times you can't tell in reading it, and so it's just like this arbitrary thing. Like, why am I getting dinged? And I think some of this stuff could be newer technology and like reading analysis and reading like positive and negative. So, I think every time that I can go in and actually give them that feedback, give our tools that feedback, it helps. So yeah, happy to take a look and see what that was specifically about. But in reading it, it seems pretty neutral to me as well.
It'd just be slang, American slang it didn't understand, so.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
a terrible American slang. Oh no.
Any other questions on Twitter metrics for this month?
You have to realize that's especially funny since Nick is not from the US.
That's right.
Yeah. We can move to the LinkedIn metrics if we're ready. LinkedIn just continues to grow, 100% positive. So, which, again, makes sense. And it's been pretty consistent. We did see a little bit of bump in our engagement trend, which is nice. And we're just, continue to get new followers month over month. It's not a huge spike, but, up is up. So we'll take it. If you are listening and you have not, out on the live stream and you have not gone over to our LinkedIn, we would really appreciate the follow. So, yep, that's LinkedIn for this month. Any questions? If not, we can go to our YouTube metrics. YouTube just continues to grow. It's really cool to see. Views keep increasing, our subscribers, albeit again, little bit by little bit. We are hoping that the more engaging content that we're putting on here, including our AMAs, including this, this new video series, that will just continue to engage our viewers on on YouTube and provide some interesting content. So these numbers are pretty good. You know, given we kind of are hitting a pretty decent stride on YouTube. So that's good to see. Any questions on video content or YouTube?
Oh, no, just a reminder that a lot of our YouTube content are meetings
Yes,
that we broadcast live. So
absolutely.
not that the meetings are not engaging, but yeah, it's probably not as it's different. It's kind of apples and oranges.
Exactly, exactly. And we wanted to give a shout out to the AMP team. They are hosting their first AMP Fest on October 13th. And so if you are interested in participating in that, please follow this link. You'll see a cameo from Robin in their keynote. So it's been really awesome working with the AMP team on getting this out the door. Immediately following this, not immediately following, but the day after AMP Fest, we are actually doing our AMA, our monthly AMA with the AMP TSC. So that'll be a really nice follow-up. So if you haven't registered yet, or if you want to check that out, the link is right there. Any questions on this event? Awesome.
No. Great job, Rachel.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add?
If there's nothing else, I'd just like to say thank you again to the staff for continuing with your support. And I know we'll have a lot of communications that come out of the session that we held earlier. So appreciate all the help and support here. Thank you again for another good job. And we'll all be together again in another month.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone, and especially for the staff who and many of you out there who are back to school and everything else and juggling. I really appreciate everything that you're doing. The board as well.
Yeah, and thank you, Robin. So let's
Yep.
call this session of the OpenJS Foundation board closed for this month. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.